Welcome to episode 33 of Too Many Open Tabs, a podcast where I share stories and lessons from my entrepreneurship journey. It has been a while, 4 weeks? This unexpected hiatus is completely my fault. I did quite a few things that I'm proud of, which I will share later on in this episode. I also learned a couple big things as well. The biggest thing I would say is I really had to reckon my ability to maintain work-life balance. It's not something that comes naturally to me because in the past when I used to work corporate, I was known as the workaholic, even by my Chinese colleagues. They work crazy amount of hours. It was so much easier to point at the company and say, well, you expected me to do this with this level of quality in this short amount of time. So how can I not be a workaholic? But now that I am an entrepreneur, I have nobody else to point to. I can only point at myself. So over the last few weeks, specific to this topic, I have been thinking about this one question. What do I need to do in order to be a happy and sustainable entrepreneur? Just putting that question at the forefront of my mind has done a lot of wonders. It helps me catch myself when I feel like I am running with no purpose. And also, it helped me reframe a lot of the good habits that I want to maintain and the milestones that I actually care about in my life and in my business. So that's really exciting. All right, a couple of housewarming things before we get into the stories and lessons that I want to share with you guys. So this podcast, it used to be way back when. It used to be every single Monday, and now I'm going to change the schedule. So I will be releasing a podcast episode every 2 weeks on a Monday. With this decision, I feel like it'll get me closer to being a happy and sustainable entrepreneur. So, yay! One fun thing that I wanted to introduce is 5 words to describe what I've been up to since the last episode. My 5 words right now would be creeping self-doubt, no more. During my hiatus, I definitely went through an emotional roller coaster. There was a part of me that wanted to give up entrepreneurship, but then another voice popped into my head and said, Juliet, you are absolutely crazy. You have not done anything yet. You have not tried anything yet. So don't stop now. That and a couple of other things that happened really helped me get my head back on straight, I would say. There are 5 things that I want to share with you guys in this episode. The first one is I built a lean and flexible operational system. I'm super proud of this. I thought this would be a really easy thing to do that I can knock out in 3 days. It actually took me 3 weeks. Even today, after about a month of using my system, I have not changed anything to that foundational system because it just truly, truly works. Let me step back a little bit. Why did I decide to build one? If you didn't know, I am building one business that will have 3 brands. And the 3 brands each have their own nuances, have their own potential collaborators, all of these different things. Before I built my system in Notion, I was actually super disorganized. Things were living in multiple Google Drives with multiple Google emails, multiple paper journals, Apple Notes, text messages across iMessage and WhatsApp and WeChat. It was just chaotic. It got to the point where I had a persistent headache because everything was kind of tied in my brain. So I was like, I gotta stop actually just building content right now and just step back, build this, because if I build a really good operational system, then I can run in the future. But if I don't, I'm just going to keep on feeling this pain day over day, week over week. I think it's super important for a lot of businesses to have an operational system that truly, truly works for them. How can you tell that a system is truly working for you? Your system is supposed to help you move faster and more efficiently. I actually built version 1 of my system in about a week. But when I started taking out ideas from my head and putting it into that system, I ran into a few friction points. It was stuff like, well, I wanted to create a note to capture everything that I've been learning on this specific topic, but does this note live in database 1 or database 2? And that is just a dumb question to be really held up on. Dumb questions are questions that you should not even need to entertain. They're just wasting your energy. So through that experience, I went back, reviewed my entire system, and came out with a version 2. I learned a whole lot about how to think about systems. Right now, I am actually creating a free workbook for small business owners who do not have an operational system that works for them, and teach them how to think about their operational system so then they can say, do I want to build it myself or do I want to hire someone to build it? That workbook is going to be maybe like several weeks away. So in the meantime, if you are building an operational system, there are 2 things that I want you to understand. 1, your system is supposed to help you move faster and more efficiently. When you test your system and you run into those friction points, you should not be running into questions that are dumb. And the second thing I want you to know is this framework called PARA method, P-A-R-A method. It is a method by Tiago Forte on how to organize digital spaces. So the P stands for projects or things that you are working on right now. The first A stands for areas, meaning areas that you need to maintain. So like, for example, if you are running a business and you have multiple brands, well, you have to maintain your business and you also have to maintain, say, brand guidelines, voice guidelines, color palettes of each different brand, and then anything else like that. So they're not necessarily active projects, but those are things that you have to pay attention to. The R stands for resources, and you can just think of this as notebooks where you catalog information that you learn or that you need to know for your business or anything that is in your areas, or keeping track of information that interests you and may be of use to you sometime in the future. The last A is archives, and to be honest, I just haven't used archives at all in my Notion system just yet. If you have any more questions about the PARA method, definitely go check out Tiago Forte out on YouTube. I want to give a shout out to 2 YouTube educators that really helped me think through this process. They are Jeff Sue and I think you pronounce his name as Matthias. I'll link some information in the episode description so you can check it out if it's of any interest to you. The second thing that I did that I've been doing is networking. Entrepreneurship is such a lonely journey. I have met some really cool female entrepreneurs though, and so I'm really excited to develop relationships. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. The third thing that I wanted to talk about is Augmented World Expo, or AWE. There's this one session that I went to that will remain in my mind, and it's called How to Design Memorable XR Experiences Through Storytelling with Eve Weston, Leah Rubin Cadrain, and Scott Steen. Hopefully I said all those names right. It was done so well. I truly believe why I resonated so well with it is because Scott was the one who was moderating and asking questions, but it was really Eve and Leah who are running the show. And they're both female storytellers in this AR, VR, XR space. The way that they communicated with the audience was just so, how do you say, it's like really comforting. Not only was it practical and I learned so much through a small workshop that they did, but I also learned a lot through the language and the words that they used to describe what they wanted to share. They really said, focus on 3 questions no matter what you do. Let's talk about interactive experiences specifically. The question, who am I as the user or audience? Is the user an extra, a viewer, or a main character? Or maybe there's something else. If the viewer is confused about who they are, then they are not going to be immersed in your experience or immersed in the story. This is something that you have to set expectations and manage them. Otherwise, there becomes a breach of trust. The second question, where am I? It depends on what the context is. Are they wearing a device? What is this device or this experience capable of? Does it see and hear what I can? One way you can notice this is if you download a new software app and they guide you through the whole experience. Hey, check this thing out. You can do this thing over here. And ooh, what about this corner over here? That is, where am I? And then the last question, why am I here? It should be answered by the context of the user in the home and in the world. Two other things that I really wanted to share, but this is more like quick hits. If you are struggling with content strategy or content pillars, there's a video that I want you to watch by Katie Steckley, and it's called Big Creators Don't Have Niches. They Do This Instead. Katie is one of my favorite YouTube educators, I would say. I learn so much every time she posts. The second quick hit would be Conan O'Brien's Harvard commencement address for 2026. Conan O'Brien delivers a really great commencement speech that hits to the core of being a human, right? Because no matter what age you are, no matter what nationality you are, we're all human at the end of the day, and we do, for the most part, have the same concerns. A quote that I pulled out of his speech is, "I'm not saying the goal is to renounce accomplishments, but rather to metabolize them. If you carry your victories lightly, other qualities, kindness, originality, courage, humor, and humanity, have room to emerge." It means we don't have to sell our souls and be vicious like dog-eat-dog world in order to succeed and to make money. Highly recommend his speech for anybody, but especially for people who are feeling a little lost. To wrap up the show, one thing that I am tackling next is actually sitting down and write out strategy for my content specifically. One thing to pat myself on the back is I just went through an emotional roller coaster and I made it out alive, and I feel stronger than ever. And so that definitely deserves a round of applause, a pat on the back. Yay! If you enjoyed this episode, I would appreciate it if you liked it and left a comment. Talk about, I don't know, what are you up to? I guess I'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks from now. Bye!